Yo, what's good out there, world? Welcome to this edition of Smoking and Baking with Trademark. And today, I'm going to be baking for you a homemade, made from scratch sweet potato pie. And the ingredients are as follows. I'm going to be using 1 cup of granulated sugar, also 1/2 cup of dark brown sugar. Over here I have 6 small sweet potatoes and I bake them in the oven. Now normally I will boil them, but I did something different this time and I baked them, and I kind of like it better because I like the way the potatoes caramelized in the oven, and I think that's going to make for a much sweeter pie. But hey, that's your choice. I'm also going to be using 2 large eggs at room temperature, 1/2 cup of butter. I'm going to be using 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, also 1 tablespoon of pure vanilla extract. I'm going to also be using some allspice and some pumpkin spice seasonings. Now, I prefer to use nutmeg, but the market didn't have any, so I settled for the pumpkin spice, and I'm going to be using 1/8 teaspoon of both. Also, I'm going to be using 3/4 cup of evaporated milk. And here are my deep dish frozen pie shells, and I'm going to put that in the oven. And also, this is optional. I'm going to be using 1/4 of a cup of flour and also 1 1/2 tablespoons of pure lemon juice. So once again, here are the ingredients for my homemade, made from scratch sweet potato pie. Now let's get to baking. So off camera, I peeled my sweet potatoes and I placed them in my mixing bowl, and I'm mixing it on the medium speed. Right now, my primary goal is to check for strings. I don't like strings in my sweet potatoes. So I'm going to stop my mixer, and I'm going to take my whisk attachment off, and I'm going to check to see if there's any strings, and if there are, I'm just going to wash it off and bring it back. So before placing my whisk back on, I want to scrape down the sides of my mixing bowl to make sure I get a proper mix. I'm going to let this mix one more time. I'm going to check for strings on my whisk again, and if I'm ready to go and have no more strings, we're going to get to the next step. Looking good. Let's rinse this off and continue. So now let's add the other ingredients. First, I'm going to turn my mixer on a low speed, and I'm first going to add in the sugar. And once the sugar gets incorporated, I'm going to add in the other ingredients, but I'm going to turn my mix up a little bit. And now I'm going to add in my brown sugar. And this is 1/2 of a cup. I'm going to let that mix, and now I'm going to add in my 2 large eggs at room temperature. And next, I'm going to go in with my spices, and this is the cinnamon, the allspice, and the pumpkin spice. Next, I'm going to go in with 1/2 cup of melted unsalted butter. And now I'm going to add in 3/4 of a cup of evaporated milk. And now I'm going to add in my 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. So now I'm going to scrape down my bowl, and I'm going to add in a little flour just to thicken it up a little bit. I'm going to start my mixer off on a low speed, and then I'm going to gradually turn it up a little bit. But I see that I have some flour sticking to my mixing bowl, so I'm going to stop my mixer and scrape down my mixing bowl and make sure all the flour get into the mix so everything can just be mixed properly. I'm going to put my mixing bowl back down, let this mix for a few, and I see you guys at the next step. So now it's time to add in my filler to my pie crust. Now you can just follow the directions on the brand of pie crust you use, and I'm just going to try to even this out as best I can. I already preheated my oven to 350 degrees, and I'm going to leave it in the oven like for an hour to an hour and 10 minutes. I'll see you when it's done.